Taehyung watched you from across the bar, working on one of the counters, his eyes locked on you as he sipped his drink. After skillfully subduing a man, you were now sitting beside the man, his hand resting possessively on your waist. He kissed your neck while you moved your hands over his body, maintaining his erusa L with tender touches. You held his face and tangled your fingers in his hair, keeping him completely under your spell. For the past half hour, you tried to make the man drunk and tipsy. Taehyung's blood boiled with a mix of frustration and jealousy. He was your boss, both in the business world and in the underworld, and he had himself given you this assignment to get valuable information from men like the one you were with now. The initial plan was for you to sedu men and gather information from them. However, over time, Taehyung developed genuine feelings for you. What started as a strategic arrangement quickly turned into a personal struggle for him. Seeing you with other men became increasingly painful as his emotions grew stronger, making it hard for him to cope. You first started working for Taehyung as his secretary, but over time, he noticed how easily men around you were swayed by your charm and essentiality. He offered you a deal to help him trap his enemies, and he will pay you as much as you want. And you, in need of money, accepted without a second thought. But as time went on, Taehyung, he realized he was falling for you. Seeing you with other men, even if it was just part of the job, made him feel a deep and painful jealousy. It became hard for him to handle, as his feelings for you grew stronger and pure. Tonight, as you pulled the last string of the man, Rico dinged him as he confessed all his deeds and gave you the information Taehyung needed. You wrapped up your work and left him there, blacked out. You took the tape and went to Taehyung with slow steps. As you approached him, he looked at you with fierce eyes, his gaze filled with a mixture of anger and something else you couldn't quite place. He was drunk, but his feelings were clear. You raised your hand in front to handle the tape to him, but instead of reaching for the tape, Taehyung grabbed your arms and pulled you onto his LP. Yin, sir, you stammered, your voice trembling as Taehyung's sudden and unexpected action caught you off guard. You tried to keep your composure, but it was nearly impossible with the intensity in his eyes. His hands moved with almost possessive urgency, trailing over your neck where the man had kissed you just moments before. His fingers pressed against your skin, tracing the path of your tpess, as if he was trying to erase any trace of the other man. Shocked and confused, you couldn't find the strength to push him away. Instead, you sat frozen, your breath hitching with each touch, allowing Taehyung to do as he would. Then, without warning, Taehyung grabbed his core bottle and, with a deliberate motion, poured the warm liquid all over your neck. The sudden sensation made you flinch as it soaked into your skin, running down your collarbone and seeping through your dress. You gasped, your body instinctively reacting to the unexpected warmth and the way it clung to you. Taehyung's eyes were dark with intent as he tossed the empty bottle aside, the glass clattering loudly on the floor. His hands found your waist, gripping you firmly as he pulled you closer, until your soaked street was pressed tightly against his. The heat of your skin mingled with the cool air, creating a sensation that made you shiver. His lips descended to your neck, and he began to suck on your skin with a almost desperate hunger. Each kiss was forceful, leaving a trail of heat and tension in its wake. His teeth grazed your fillet and biting down as if he wanted to mark you, to claim you. Your breath hitched, your hands instinctively gripping his shoulders as he continued, his harsh, relentless asset all on your senses. The mix of pain and pleasure left you trembling in his grasp, completely overwhelmed by the intensity of his actions. Your eyes widened in alarm as you felt him growing ardor against your piece. Panic set in, and you shoved him off, scrambling to get up from his lap. And suddenly Taehyung collapsed onto the couch, completely blacked out. Breathing heavily, you reached for Taehyung's coat, your fingers trembling slightly as you draped it over your shoulders. You took a moment to steady yourself, your heart pounding in your chest, before you cast one last look at him and make your way out of the bar. You knew you had to leave. What had just happened between you left you shaken, but it also made you realize the truth you'd been avoiding. You couldn't ignore your feelings for Taehyung any longer. They had been building up, growing stronger every time you were near him. The way he had touched you tonight, the jealousy burning in his eyes, made it clear that things couldn't go on like this. You knew you needed to confess your feelings to Taehyung before things got any worse. His jealousy was obvious, and it was only a matter of time before it led to something you both might regret. Pulling the coat tighter around you walked down the street and ordered a cab. The morning sun streamed through the window as you sat on the sofa, the recorded tape clutched tightly in your hands. You stared at it, the events of the previous night replaying in your mind. The tape held the information Taehyung needed, and you knew it's your responsibility to handle this to him. After leaving the bar, you'd received a call from one of Taehyung's guards, informing you that they had taken him home safely. Relief had washed over you then, but now, in the light of day, you couldn't shake the nervousness that settled in your chest. You knew you had to deliver the tape to him, but the thought of facing him after last night made your heart race. You had no idea how much he would remember. The alcohol had clouded his mind, and there was a chance he wouldn't recall anything that had happened between you two. Deciding it was best to give him some time, you planned to visit him in the evening. By then, he might be sober enough to talk, and you could hand over the tape without it being too awkward. In Taehyung's house, he sat at the edge of his bed, guilt washing over him like a relentless tide. What had he done? The memory of last night replayed in his mind with brutal clarity. He recalled every single moment, every touch, every desperate move he made. How could he have lost control like that? The shame gnawed at him, making his face flush with embarrassment. He rubbed his face in frustration, and then lay back down, kicking his feet against the bed as if trying to shake off the reality of what he had done. Taehyung, FCAC, 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 he muttered under his breath, the words echoing his turmoil. As the evening approached, you found yourself standing outside Taehyung's mansion, your heart pounding in your chest. The guards didn't stop you. They knew exactly who you were. With steady steps, you made your way inside, heading directly to his room. You knocked softly on the door, and in no time, Taehyung opened it, expecting one of the maids. But his eyes widened in surprise when he saw you standing there. Without a word, he stepped aside and gestured for you to enter. Taehyung, come, come. You bowed slightly and walked in, your eyes nervously meeting his as he closed the door behind you. You slowly handed him the tape, and as he took it, the events of last night flooded his mind once more. He was about to speak, but the embarrassment from earlier crept back into his voice. Taehyung, let me get you some water, he stammered, clearly flustered, and hurried over to the table where the jug and glasses were placed. You wanted to decline, but seeing his nervousness, you decided to let him do it. As Taehyung poured the water, his hand shook slightly, betraying his anxiety. When he turned to bring it to you, his foot caught on the edge of the carpet. He stumbled, and in an instant, the water splashed over both of you as he lost his balance, falling on top of you. Your back hit the bed, and the two of you froze staring at each other. Taehyung, oh, I am sorry Yin, he stammered, his voice thick with guilt. He quickly tried to push himself up, but you seized the moment, leaning up to kiss him on the lips. The kiss caught him off guard, and he felt a rush of heat surge through his body. He tried to pull away, but your hands held him close, and soon enough, he found himself kissing you back. As your lips moved together, Taehyung could feel his desire growing, his body reacting to every touch. Without realizing it, he began to trail his kisses down your neck, moving lower toward your collarbone. You didn't stop him. Instead, you encouraged him, at reaching your back as he opened the button ends of your shirt with shaky hands. You knew this was the right time to make moves and to confess. He said your shoulders, his breath hot against your skin, but the hung in him took over, and he bit down hard on your shoulder, drawing a sharp cry from you. Yin. Taehyung, the sound of your pain snapped him back to reality. He pulled away, panic flashing in his eyes. He could see the same pained expression on your face that he had seen last night in the bar. The sound of your pain snapped him back to reality. He suddenly backed off, his heart pounding with fear and regret. What if you didn't have the same feelings for him? What if you were doing this just for pleasure? Because neither of you had confessed yet. Of course, he would find play at sure and satisfying you. But what about love? He was in love with you. Taehyung, I'm sorry. This was a mistake, Yin. We should stop, he said, his voice trembling. Without waiting for a response, he stormed out of the room, leaving you alone. You watched him leave, your heart shattering as the door closed behind him. Tears welled up in your eyes as you tried to make sense of what had just happened. Tears welled up in your eyes, and painful thoughts began to race through your mind. Did he really just leave you in the middle of doing T? You couldn't help but think, what if he sees you as SD and unwry? What if he's judging your character, believing that you were only playing him like you had those other men? The idea tore at you, making your chest ache with a deep, suffocating despair. Quickly, you buttoned up your shirt, your fingers trembling as the tears began to fall. Not wanting to be in his house any longer, you practically ran out of the room. Taehyung was nowhere to be seen. With your heart heavy and your mind in mess, you rushed out of the mansion, the pain of his rejection burning deep inside you. The next day, you found yourself seated in the meeting room with Taehyung, his gaze burning holes into you from across the table. You could feel his eyes on you, but each time he tried to catch your attention, you looked away, ignoring him completely. You focused on your work, the ache in your heart, still fresh from the previous night. As the meeting came to a close, you stood up, gathering your things, eager to leave. But just as you were about to walk out, Taehyung's firm voice commanded, "Taehyung, Miss Yin, I need to talk to you." You paused, knowing you couldn't refuse him in front of everyone. You stood there, your back stiff as the room emptied, leaving only you and Taehyung. He stepped closer, his presence heavy with guilt and something else, desperation. "Taehyung, I'm sorry for crossing the line," he began, his voice unsteady. "Not just yesterday, but the other day too." You kept your expression neutral, nodding curtly. "Yin, it's okay. I'll take my leave now," you said coldly, turning to go. But he wasn't done. He stepped forward, his tone urgent. "Taehyung, Yin, why are you behaving like this? I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry." You stopped in your tracks, his words hitting a nerve. Slowly, you turned to face him, your eyes narrowing with the anger you had been holding back. "Yin, did I say I was hurt, Mr. Kim?" Your voice was sharp, each word laced with bitterness. Taehyung's breath caught in his throat. The coldness in your tone made him question everything. As you turned away again, his hand shot out, grabbing yours. But the moment his skin touched yours, you yanked your hand back as if burned, causing him to stumble back in shock. Finally, you couldn't hold it in any longer. "Yin, what is your problem?" You burst out, your voice trembling with the raw emotion you had been trying to suppress. "Yin, are you even apologizing? I should be the one to apologize because I love you. Because I forced myself on you yesterday, right?" Your voice cracked as tears began to spill down your cheeks. You were practically sobbing now, but you forced yourself to continue. Your voice cracked as tears began to spill down your cheeks. You were practically sobbing now, but you forced yourself to continue. "Yin, I know you think I'm low, that I'm used, that I'm unworthy and can't satisfy you, right? But for your information, I'm still." The words came out in a rush, each one hitting Taehyung like a punch to the gut. His heart sank to the pit of his stomach as the weight of what you were saying crashed over him. He hadn't realized how deeply he had hurt you, how his actions had made you feel so worthless. "Taehyung, no, Yin, you've got it all wrong," he choked out, his voice thick with emotion. "I never wanted you to feel like this. I didn't know my actions would make you think that. I never, ever thought of you like that." You shook your head, still not able to meet his eyes, your tears blurring your vision. You turned to leave once more, but this time, Taehyung wouldn't let you go. In one swift motion, he grabbed your arm and pulled you into him, his lips crashing down on yours in a desperate, passionate kiss. You struggled at first, pushing against his street, but he held you tightly, refusing to let you go. Slowly, your resistance weakened, but you didn't kiss him back either, your body stiff with uncertainty. When he finally broke the kiss, he rested his forehead against yours, his breath ragged, his hands trembling as they held your waist. "Taehyung, never, ever I thought about you like that. Yin, trust me," he whispered, his voice filled with pain. "I love you, Yin. I love you so much, baby. Please, believe me." Tears streamed down your face as you whispered, "Yin, then why did you leave me like that?" The crack in your voice made his heart clench painfully. He hadn't meant to hurt you, hadn't meant to make you feel this way. The thought that he had caused you so much pain was almost unbearable. "Taehyung, I thought," he swallowed hard, trying to find the right words. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I was scared, Yin. I'm in love with you, and I didn't know how to handle it. I was terrified that you might not feel the same way, or that you were just with me because you felt trapped or had no other choice. You stood there, his words echoing in your mind. The anger and hurt that had consumed you just moments ago slowly began to dissolve. Instead, a deep sadness filled its place, the realization that he had been scared, just as you had been. Yin, at least you should have cleared your thoughts with me, Taehyung, you said, your voice softening as you looked into his eyes. I love you. His breath hitched, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. He paused, the weight of your words sinking in, before he looked back into your eyes, his gaze filled with determination. Taehyung, be my girlfriend, Yin, he said firmly. Let's date, and I'm not letting you work like that again. I want you close to me, close to my heart. Before you could respond, he pulled you into a tight hug, wrapping his arms around you as if he never wanted to let you go. You felt his heart pounding against your chest, matching the rhythm of your own. It was as if the world around you had disappeared, leaving just the two of you in this moment. You chuckled softly, feeling the warmth of his embrace. Yin, you want to be my boyfriend, huh? You teased, a playful glint in your eyes. But Taehyung pulled back slightly, just enough to look at you seriously. Taehyung, no, he said, shaking his head. He paused, his expression softening as he continued. My plan is to be your husband, but I want to make you comfortable and gain your trust before marrying you. His words caught you off guard, your heart swelling with emotion. You had always known there was something special between you two, but hearing him speak so earnestly about a future together made everything feel real. Without thinking, you leaned in and kissed his cheek, a gesture full of affection and gratitude. He smiled, and before you could pull away, he kissed your cheek in return, his lips lingering for just a moment longer. Yin, okay then, you said with a smile, your heart full. Let's date. Taehyung's face lit up, a smile spreading across his features as he pulled you even closer, his arms tightening around you. Taehyung, I'm not going to waste any time, Yin. I'll make sure you never have to doubt how much I love you. You looked up at him, your eyes meeting his, but as you shifted slightly in his embrace, you suddenly felt something poking your gaze. Your eyes widened in surprise as the realization dawned on you, heat rushing to your cheeks. You quickly glanced down and then back up at him, your expression a mix of shock and amusement. Taehyung noticed your reaction, and a mischievous grin spread across his face. Taehyung, oops, he murmured with a playful glint in his eyes, before leaning in and capturing your lips again. When he finally pulled back, both of you were breathless. Yin, here you said, and bit your lip, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Taehyung, why not? Don't worry, no one will see.